Do you want to be able to create quick and easy backgrounds with a watercolour look, but don't have any watercolours? In this video, I show you how. Hello there, Michelle Short here with Terrific Tags with Michelle. Today I have a tag to share with you using the new Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily set, along with a quick and easy watercolour look background. So let's get started. This is the new Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily set that releases today. It's absolutely beautiful. You've got the Calla Lily image there in the middle, and then you've got lots of different sentiments that you can mix and match. So you could say things like, I cherish you, I cherish all you do, cherish every moment. Lots of different sentiments, like I say, that you can mix and match to be able to create different sentiments. On the back there's some information about the set and some colour combinations that you could use. There is also the Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily die set as well, which cuts out the Calla Lily image. Like I said, really beautiful set. Calla lilies happen to be one of my favourite flowers. I would love to hear what your favourite flower is, so do leave me a comment down below if you care to share. But I really love calla lilies, they're just absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to stamp the image onto some watercolour paper. I actually did this by mistake. I'd planned on stamping it down onto some smooth white cardstock. I realised afterwards that it was watercolour paper, but I decided to just go with it and see what happened. So I've stamped out the image onto the watercolour paper with Obsidian Pigment Ink. This is a beautiful, really dark, crisp ink. It does take a little while to colour, so I'm stamping that first before I work on my background, just so that it gives it some time to dry, but you could heat set that as well. So next I'm going to work on my background, and then I have another piece of watercolour paper here, and I've got 4 different shades of crisp dye ink. I'm starting off with the Teal crisp dye ink, and I'm using small ink blending tools, and I'm just adding the ink onto the panel. So I've started with that Teal Cave in the middle, and then either side of that I'm going to go in with the Persian blue. This is a really pretty blue shade. I am going to deepen that further with the Sapphire colour, but I wanted to just map out the colours to start with. You can always add extra ink, but you can't really take it away if you want to. Next I'm going to go in with Midnight Violet, a really beautiful violet shade, and I'm just adding that at the top and the bottom. So as you can see here, it doesn't particularly look very nice. It's not very well blended or anything like that, but we're going to add water over the top, and that's going to blend it all together. So next I'm going to go in with that Sapphire colour, and I'm just going to intensify that blue. And then I do go back in with the Teal Cave as well, just to darken that up in the middle. I'm then taking the Fine Mister, which is the perfect Craftroom companion, and I'm going to spritz this multiple times onto the panel. I do want it to be really quite wet because I want the inks to meld together and blend, and they're just going to look really lovely all blended together. I actually think that you could probably do this with any colour combination. I think it would still look pretty. I'm just bringing in my heat tool here, and I'm going to heat set that until it's dry, or at least dry to the touch. As you can see here, the ink is kind of pooling up at the edges. I wasn't too concerned because I'm going to cut this out, but you could mop up those edges and then it wouldn't leave kind of any harsh lines or anything like that. Once the panel is dry to the touch, I'm going to go back in with the same inks and the small ink blending tool, and I'm just going to intensify the colours slightly. I really wanted to intensify this purple at the top and the bottom. I just think it's such a beautiful colour, this Midnight Violet, that I wanted it to be quite a bit deeper and blend in a bit more with that blue. I wanted to have quite a vibrant background, which is quite unlike me in a way. I usually go for more kind of pastel shades, but this is very bright, but I really love how it turned out. And then I'm going to go back in with the Sapphire and the Teal Cave as well, just to add a little bit extra over the top. So this is giving me a watercolour look without actually using watercolours. So you can definitely get the most out of those ink pads. I'm then just splattering on some water with a brush. And that's just going to give a little bit more interest onto the panel, and it's going to leave some lighter areas. Once it's dry again to the touch, I'm going to use the Terrific Tags die. I'm going to place that over the panel. I just wanted that purple shade to kind of peek from the top and the bottom. I'm just using some low tack tape to hold that in place, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. And that's also just going to press that cardstock down, and so it's not going to have any warping or anything like that from the water. I like to just go around the edges with my nail just to remove any excess fibres from the cardstock. I'm then going to work on the colouring of my Dainty Calla Lily image. So these are the Woodless Coloring Pencils. They're just so pretty in their packaging. I absolutely love them. So I'm just going to take a few shades that I think I might use. I'm going to use 3 shades for the leaves with greens, and then I'm going to take some yellows and kind of sort of a browny shade for the insides, and then a grey for the actual kind of flowers. So I'm going to start off by colouring the leaves, and I like to work darkest to lightest with pretty much all of my colouring mediums. I find that it just works best for me. So I'm going in here first with my darkest green shade, which is Shadow Creek, and I'm just adding that to where I think the darkest areas would be on the image. I'm making it so that the light source is kind of like towards the top, like looking down on the flower, and so the darker areas for me are going to be around the edges and towards the bottom. I am going to speed up the colouring quite a bit here. It did take me quite some time to colour. I will say that colouring pencils in general do take me quite a long time to colour. The great thing with colouring pencils is that you can layer them on top of each other. You can do multiple layers, but it does take quite some time. So next I'm going to blend that out with the next shade, which is Grass Field. Just blending that out, moving the colour towards the further away from that darkest shade into the image, or into the leaves at least, and the stems. And then I'm going in with the lightest shade of the green, and that's Limeade. So just blending all 3 of those shades together and kind of filling in the excess area. I am covering all of the white. I'll be honest with you, it's quite difficult for me to see what I'm doing on camera with the colouring. So afterwards I did patch up any white areas afterwards. I'm now going in with Jet Black, and I'm just adding a small amount of black just onto the very edges of the leaves. This is just going to darken them up even further, and I find that it does really make quite a big difference. So I'm just going all around those edges there with the black. And then I go back in with my darkest green, that Shadow Creek, just to blend the black out. And then I can do that on the other leaf there as well. And then I just go back in with the exact same colours, the Grass Field and the Limeade, just to intensify all of the colours and blend them all together. Like I said, colouring pencils for me really do take a long time. So next I'm going to work on the flower heads, and I'm using Moon Rock for that. This is just a really kind of pale grey. I'll be honest with you, I didn't love how I coloured in the flower heads. I wish that maybe I'd used maybe like a purple or something like that, but I wanted to keep them fairly neutral because I've got such a vibrant background. So I'm going in with that grey around all of the kind of inside pieces, and I apologise that my camera cut out at this point. So I coloured in all of the grey. I just did exactly how I was doing it on screen. And then for the inside, for the stamens, I used Fresh Lemon, Maple Yellow and Paper Bag. And then I'm taking the Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily die, and I'm just placing that over the top of the image, holding that down with some low tack tape, and then running that through my die cutting machine. And that's cut out that cute little calla lily there. I would love to hear your thoughts on what is your favourite colouring medium. I really do like colouring with colour pencils, but like I said, it just takes me so long. Next, I'm stamped to Sentiment Out. This is from the Tiny Sentiments Hello stamp set, and it works alongside a hello die. And so you could have like hello my sweet friend or hello you're the best, but I decided just to use the sentiment on its own. So I stamped that onto some black cardstock with embossing ink, and then embossed that with pure white crisp embossing powder. And here I've got all of my elements, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly where I want them to go on the tag. This sometimes can take 2 seconds and other times could take multiple minutes, but I decided in the end to go with the Calla Lily more towards the left hand side and the sentiment towards the right. I have cut another tag out. This is from some classic Crest 110 solar white cardstock. I'm just adding some glue tape onto the back of that, and I'm going to add that onto the back of our ink blended piece. This is so that it just finishes it off nicely, and if I want to write a personal message on it, it's just going to look nice and finished. So just making sure that those 2 tags are lined up. And then I can add some instant dimension foam tape onto the back of the Calla Lily. So I'm just going to cut small strips of that to cover the back of the lily. And then I can use the micro tip tweezers just to remove the backings off of that foam tape. And then the tweezers are going to help me out with the placement, just to kind of hover it over the tag so that I can see where I want it to be placed before I press down. So I'm just kind of overlapping that slightly with the bottom of the tag, and then I'm going to take some scissors and just cut off the excess. Just so that kind of grounds that lily onto the tag. And then I've got my sentiment here. I want the sentiment to be all one level, but because it's overlapping the Calla Lily, I've added some foam tape onto the right, and then I'm just adding an extra piece of cardstock there just to bulk up the height of it. And then I'm using some more of that glue tape just to stick that down. And then I can press that down once I'm happy. And then because I don't like naked tags without any kind of twine or anything like that through them, I'm just going to add some black twine through the top of the tag. So I'm just pushing that through, and then I can tie that in a bow at the front. So just manipulating those bows to how I want them to be. And then once I'm happy, I can just cut off the tails of the bow. And then I actually realised while I was making a card that I wanted to make this tag as like it is. I had the idea for the card before I had the idea for the tag. Sometimes it's the other way around, but I wanted to show you here that this was the card that I came up with the idea first. It's very similar, as you can see, but I do actually think that that tag would look really pretty added onto a card base as is as well. Links to the products that I used will be listed in the description bar on YouTube and also over on the Altenew blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hello crafters, Jen here. For more tips, techniques, tutorials, and to discover which paper crafting products are right for you, subscribe to Altenew's YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.